my name's Amanda. I'm an art psychotherapist and also professional lead. I work with adults with learning disabilities in the community at an NHS hospital. My career journey. So in my younger years, I had no idea what an art therapist was. I certainly didn't have grand dreams of being one. It's just been quite an organic journey. I've always been interested in psychology and art. And to start off with, after A-levels, I decided to go to the University of Essex and study my psychology degree. That then led on to my PGCE in primary teaching at Cambridge University, and I became a primary school teacher. The reason for being, or my original route for that, was so that I could become an educational psychologist. But when I was then working as a teacher, I kind of decided it wasn't quite for me being an educational psychologist. So I kind of kept where I was, decided to work with children with special educational needs, and then went back into primary again and became a Key Stage 1 leader. And then there was just something in me that said, you know, there's something else you want to do. So I left my teaching. I started training to be a counsellor, which I haven't actually put on there, but then that led into the discovery of art therapy, which I just thought was just amazing. And so I went to Goldsmiths University in London and did my master's in art psychotherapy. You can do it as a 2 or a 3-year course. I did it 3-year part-time, and it was one of the best things I've ever done. And as part of the MA, you do have to be in your own personal therapy. So that's something really important to bear in mind, that you do need your own personal therapy when you're training to be an art therapist. And it's actually probably worth doing if you're interested in art psychotherapy, as it will give you a real insight into what therapy is about. As an art therapist, I've worked in various settings. I've done a lot of work in schools, both primary, secondary, and also special educational needs schools. I've worked in a hospice that's delivering both palliative care to the patients, but also some bereavement work for the families and children. I also, when I was training, worked in for CAMS in the Tier 4, which is the adolescent inpatient unit, and that was real insight. And art therapy was quite magical with teenagers there. And then more recently, I've joined the NHS, and as I said earlier, I've been working with adults with learning disabilities. A day in the life of an art psychotherapist. It's actually quite a varied day. I'm going to go through the things that are sort of typical in a day, some of the things we might not do every single day, but to give a real flavour. Of course, you have the art therapy sessions. There are different types of sessions. We have in our NHS a pre-assessment, which is meeting the person with their carer or support worker to get an idea of their history, their reason for referral, and whether we feel we might actually be able to help them or not, whether art therapy or music therapy or drama therapy is for them. And so it's through that sort of triage that we can work out how best to support. If we deem that art therapy would be really good for this person, we then offer 4 assessment sessions. There is usually a bit of a waiting list. It's not straight away. But then those 4 assessment sessions give me a time to get to know the person, to know their background and whether I feel I can help them and how. And also it gives them an opportunity to work with me and to decide if they think they can work with me or not. Once those assessment sessions are finished, we then go into our regular weekly sessions. Boundaries within art psychotherapy are very important. So you have the same day, the same time every week. Breaks have to be planned, and the ending of the therapy has to be planned also. It also has to be a non-interrupted space. So we have the art therapy room, and it's just myself and the client that's in the room. Sometimes if the service users or clients are particularly anxious or have a lot of needs, they might have their support worker in with them. So that can happen. We then offer a block, so maybe like 16 sessions, but then we have a review and decide whether we want to add more sessions or whether that was sufficient. And then we work towards an ending. As well as the art therapy sessions, within my day, or my week, I have allocations and team meetings where we discuss our referrals, who has capacity to see more people. We discuss things that are going on in art therapy in the wider sense, but also within the trust as well, the NHS Trust. And we're part of the AHP, that's the Ally Health Professions, and so we have to make sure we're working within them as well. We also, as an art psychotherapist, you have to have clinical supervision. That means you have a regular meeting with your supervisor to discuss your cases, and they can help you think about your work, any sort of blind spots you may have, what you're not quite seeing, or ways of taking the work further. And it's really, really helpful. We also have MDT meetings. So we meet with other professionals that may be working with our client also, such as speech and language therapists, occupational therapists, psychiatrists, psychologists, dietitians. And so we all get together to make sure we're providing the best possible care. Of course, we have meetings with parents or carers as well. These are usually at the beginning or the review or the end, but can be in the middle if needed. And there will be other meetings as well that kind of crop up every now and again. There's a lot of admin. It's not just sitting and painting or anything like that. We have to write reports. So that's assessment reports. Sometimes we write mid-therapy reports after a review, and always an ending report. And these can go on to the person that's sent the referral through, the GP, and to the service user themselves. We also have to write clinical notes. This is based on each of the sessions that we have to write up. We have to think about risk assessments and care plans, so how we are actually going to help this person. We have to order resources and make sure we've got rooms booked and things like that. The room preparation is really important. We have to make sure that it's set out in the same way each time for that service user. There's nothing of previous people left out. And just setting up and clearing away can actually take quite a lot of time. And we have to make sure we've got suitable storage for the person's artwork. Because when someone has made some art in art therapy, we keep it safe as the therapist in a folder. They don't take it home with them at that point. The art therapy room, I've taken some photos of where I work. It's the same room, but two different angles. We're very fortunate in that we have a sink, which is really useful for clearing up any paint. The two images I've got, one is for individual. You can see there's two chairs out. The other one is where we have a group. So you can either have individual art therapy or group art therapy. And this is a confidential space, a non-interrupted space. Rewards and challenges of being an art therapist. One of the rewards for me is seeing improvements in the person's mental well-being. I get a lot of satisfaction from actually building relationships with people and gaining their trust and working closely with them. And also I see it as a real privilege that they let me into their internal world, that they'll trust me enough to talk to me and share with me their thoughts and feelings and art making as well. And with that goes to the like, whoa moments when people can find it quite difficult to articulate something that's bothering them or a feeling that they don't have the language for, especially some of my service users that are maybe non-verbal. But that through the art, the creativity, you can look and you can interpret and you can see things that otherwise you just wouldn't understand. You have to kind of experience it to maybe know what I'm talking about, but it's pretty magic when you can see something and you think, oh, that's what you're trying to tell me. Of course, there are challenges, as with any profession. A big challenge is in actually educating people as to what art therapy is and addressing any misconceptions. A lot of people think, oh, you have to be really good at art to do art therapy. You don't. It's nothing to do with skill. It's about the process of the art making, and it can be about the product as well. So how someone is engaging with the art, whether they're pouring paint or ripping paper or stabbing clay, or drawing a very tiny little picture, that will tell us a lot about how that person is feeling. It's the other sort of misconception people can have is that you just sit and you might give them a colouring book and all is well. It's about talking to that person. It's a form of psychotherapy, so it is finding about their internal world, their unconscious, and linking it to past experiences as well. Another challenge is actually getting a person to the therapy. We have to rely on parents or carers to bring them to their sessions, and to sort of help educate them as to the importance of them showing up each week. For therapy to be effective, you have to see the person every week. It's not a, shall I come today? Or don't feel like it. It's important that they attend. And room bookings can be a challenge, making sure you have a room available. Advice to my younger self. I actually found this quite difficult to think about. There's sort of lots of little bits, but I decided, I think one of the things that has been most useful for me is embracing all life experiences. And so I would urge anyone to sort of listening, just to any opportunity you get, do it, whether it's travel, whether it's working for somebody or helping someone, or because you don't know how all of those things are going to set you up for future work. Volunteering can be especially beneficial. I've done a lot of volunteering in my younger life, in different settings, a lot of in schools, and that can really give you that understanding of how settings work, how institutions work, and give you that sort of footing for then going on to do more training. And also you need to be interested, follow your passions and your interests. And my advice to my younger self is to make art. Make more art. You don't have to be good at it, just make it, and it can make you feel great. There's a lot more information on the BAT website, British Association of Art Therapists, so you can find out more on there. Thank you for listening.